Welcome to Boomer Being. Today we're going to discuss finances, boomer finances. We're very fortunate to have Greg McLaughlin of Centinel Financial with us today. Welcome, Greg.
Thanks, Leslie.
What is the number one question you get from baby boomers?
I guess it's a statement to start, which then ultimately unfolds into a question. The number one statement is, Greg, and it usually goes something like this: we've worked hard to accumulate what we have, and maybe they still have some years to accumulate, and we're going to continue to do that. We just want to make sure that the money that we have lasts as long as we do.
Sure.
And that's really the statement that begins. And that really yields itself to the question, which is, Greg, how much can we take out each month, each year, so that we know that we have as good a chance as possible of that coming true? And that really goes down to withdrawal rates, Leslie. And research shows that for investors and retirees that are withdrawing maybe 4 to 5% of their portfolio on a year-to-year basis, it's certainly a reasonable rate, and it gives them a pretty good chance at having long-term success in their retirement plan. Where we definitely see challenges is where you see people who are withdrawing maybe 5, 6, or maybe even 7% of their portfolio. And if they haven't really properly taken into account the impact that inflation, as well as potential healthcare costs can have down the road, it can really impact their ability to have that longevity of their retirement plan.
Is there any one error that you commonly see with clients regarding their investments?
But I think the biggest error is really not knowing, Leslie, how much you need per month or per year to live in retirement.
Sure.
One of the exercises that we take our clients through that people find very effective, although it is a little bit of a homework assignment, is really going through your essential income expenses and really putting pen to paper and taking the time to go through and document, this is how much we need to cover our household expenses, this is our utilities, and as you add up each of those numbers, we have different categories. Here's our insurance cost. It allows you to at least visually say, okay, we know that essential income expenses, we need X. So that people also underestimate what it will cost.
You mentioned nuts and bolts a few minutes ago. The oldest boomers turned 65 in 2011. Do you have some nuts and bolts pointers for them in terms of investing?
Sure. So with the younger boomers, focus is all about savings, putting as much money away as possible into their retirement plans. Many company-sponsored plans also have catch-up provisions for people who are over the age of 50. So it's really about maximizing what they can into their retirement plans. And if they're eligible, whether that's through a Roth IRA or an individual IRA, also taking advantage of not only putting the regular amount of contribution in, but taking that catch-up provision as well. For the boomers who can see retirement, they can smell it, but it's not quite there, it's really about their plan, Leslie. It's about, if they have a plan, just reevaluating it. Again, not reinventing the wheel, making some tweaks and modifications. If they don't have a plan, invest the time in a plan. Take into account they're probably going to have an active lifestyle in the early years of the retirement. Make sure you factor in inflation, healthcare costs, and really work closely with your financial professional to make sure that you've put together a plan that you think has the best chance of enduring a long-term success. For boomers who are retired or are retiring this year, goes back to our first question. You have been saving for 40, maybe 45 years into something, and now for the first time in your life you're taking out. And if you're taking out and you see it going down due to market or performance, that can be very, very stressful for people. So it is imperative that this group of people work very closely with that financial professional to make sure that they've put together a strategy so that portfolio can endure. But it's really important that first 10 years that they get the income that they need.
Some important pointers there.
Yeah.
That leads me to ask, you must have a lot of questions about accessing one's money because people have different types of accounts.
Sure.
How do you advise in that regard?
If you have cash or CD or non-retirement assets, that you work closely with your financial professional and probably tax professional to make sure that you're taking out the appropriate mix between non-retirement dollars and retirement dollars, because they are taxed differently. And many boomers also have the question around Social Security. Should I take it early? Should I take it at normal retirement? Should I defer it? there's a lot of situations that are involved here.
Sure.
If you're married, if you're divorced and were married for at least 10 years, there are some different reasons that you might want to look at some different scenarios. So the takeaway is, as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts. Work closely with your financial professional, and after a good, thorough conversation, you should be a little bit more clear on what makes the most sense for you.
I can't thank you enough for all these insightful tidbits and bits of advice for our audience. It's really wonderful.
Great. Well, I appreciate you having me on this afternoon. I think the objective of any thing that we are involved in is hopefully each person in your audience can just take one idea, implement it, and it will make a difference in their life in the long term.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us this time on Boomer Being. See you next time.